And welcome into another episode of Dan D'Antoni Sports. My name is Dan Snyder, joined tonight by Dan O'Shea and Tony Casper, the original Dan D'Antoni cast. How are you guys doing tonight?
Great. Doing all right.
That is good to hear. I don't know if you noticed, Dan O'Shea almost said the 3 Dan Band, but that's not correct for tonight. It's the original lineup.
I'm actually here.
Yep. We've got a lot of stuff that we missed being off for the past month because I got called into work. I've been sick. Just a plethora of things. It just hasn't worked out.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, crazy travel that Tony's had to do for work. Sometimes life comes at you.
Oh, dude, fried cheese curds, you really can't beat it. I could have eaten there every single night and gotten the same exact damn thing.
That's me at pretty much every restaurant I go to.
Cheese curds and spotted cow. That's all I need while I'm in Wisconsin.
All right. So what do you say we get right into the episode? What we're doing tonight is we're talking free agency and trades, all of the moves that teams have made to get us to what their pre-draft team is going to look like. We got a pretty exhaustive list. I'm using a CBS Sports article. That is an ongoing and currently being updated thing. It says live as of 1 hour ago. It's up to date. So let's jump right in, going alphabetically. We're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals making some big moves right off the bat, signing a 2-year, $7.5 million contract, Colt McCoy. We all know that's huge because, Kyler Murray is terrible. I mean, he's not great. But yeah, Colt McCoy, 2-year, $7.5 million contract. That's really just nothing.
Backup and insurance at most.
Yeah. Yep. A veteran backup quarterback that can lose you the games that Kyler Murray would have lost you anyways. That's what you got when you signed Colt McCoy for 2 years, $7.5 million. The next two are definitely pretty significant. Running back James Conner. Now, I'm just going to say, I've been a James Conner doubter since he left Pitt. Great story, coming back, beating cancer, getting drafted from Pittsburgh to Pittsburgh. Beautiful story, yada, yada, yada. I thought he was an awful running back. I thought there was no redeeming quality to him other than he's a hard worker and he's willing to do the grunt work. I was wrong. James Conner is at least a decent enough running back to be your starter. Is he a great running back? No. Is he a bad running back? Also no, now that I know that. Got him on a huge budget for a starting running back of 3 years, $21 million. What do you guys think about James Conner? Are you in the same boat as me? He's good enough, not great, or do you think he's better than I'm giving him credit for, or do you think he's worse than I'm giving him credit for?
No, I would say he's solid, and I would expect Arizona to draft a running back now that they lost Chase Edmonds. Conner's he's good, not great. They have other things to worry about more than running back right now.
Well, I mean, don't they have Benjamin still? Didn't they really like him?
Yeah, very undersized though. He's a good pass catcher, but that's about it. How big is Conner? I don't recall him being like a huge guy, like better at the goal line than Chase Edmonds was, sure, but for me, if I was them, I'd want a big boy that can get you like that 4th and 1 every single time.
So James Conner, real quick, I'm looking up his height. Benjamin is 5'9", 207. James Conner is 6'1", 233. So he's pretty hefty.
Yeah, I remember him being a bowling ball.
I don't recall him being 233. I thought he was like 220 or 215.
I mean, he's no Brandon Jacobs, but he's also not like Boston Scott.
My feelings on him is the fact that he's a decent running back. He'll give you what you need and you expect from him, but he does have flashes of greatness. I mean, that one season he had in Pittsburgh was a flash of greatness. Now, I'm also a little hesitant to say that he's just average because you're also taking into consideration that this wasn't a team that entirely relied on the run. I mean, they had Kyler Murray running his ass off half of the time, so teams were accounting for that. So I think he's serviceable, but I still don't know what he is and what he isn't based on the team that he was on.
Right. I think what I've learned about him is, like I said, he's good enough to be a starting running back in the NFL. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what I've gotten from his best year at Pittsburgh and the year he had in Arizona. Do I think he needs a complementary running back to go with him? Yeah, that's where, if you like Eno Benjamin, you use him. If you're watching these cuts, maybe you take a flyer on a guy like Tarek Cohen if he can pass a physical, who was released by the Bears. That could be a good one, too, with Connor and Cohen.
Yeah, I think it services a need for Arizona. They wanted to make sure that they had him with what he can do, and then they're probably looking elsewhere. I mean, yeah, he's going to get some money for it, but I don't know that he's going to be the answer. Plus, I don't know how his contract was structured. They've got a lot of things going on because you never know what's going to happen because Kyler wants the hell out. That's what's most confusing to me about Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, if Kyler wants out, the A's still have his draft rights. So, you know, they're getting rid of everybody. Bring in Kyler.
That whole situation. I don't know what Kyler's deal is, but Tony, you had a good point that Kyler runs the ball a lot. So yeah.
Which to me, I feel like that doesn't give us the true gauge on Connor because when Connor was the premier back with Ben not running as much, he had a really great year. But we don't really know because of what Kyler does. And I don't know Kyler's attitude, obviously, other than he wants the hell out of Arizona, which I for the life of me, I can't understand. Yeah, you know what? I would not like to play with DeAndre Hopkins anymore. I'd like to go somewhere where my life might get worse.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to move on from James Conner, though. Speaking of Kyler Murray, we all say tight end is a quarterback's best friend, correct? And career resurgence maybe for Zach Ertz, 3 years, $31.65 million contract. Left the Eagles.
I just don't understand the money being spent on Ertz. I just don't get it.
Well, I mean,
I don't get it either, but I mean, I think it's a better situation for Ertz. I mean, obviously you take the money that you're going to be given, but I still think that Arizona is a better situation than whatever the hell was going on in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Zach Ertz was reliable. He's one of the few tight ends that can still block very well. He's a good receiver, very good receiver still. The money, I mean, that's right around
so
where.
Slow now, though.
I mean, the Cowboys franchise tagged Dalton Schultz for the same amount.
I don't need him to be fast. I need him to be 5 yards downfield in case all of my other options are blown.
Yeah. Like I said.
I guess I would not go anywhere near giving him $10 million a year, though. At that age, he's not.
All right, well, let's address the elephant in the room, because as we go down this, and we're just on Arizona, some of the money that's being shelled out to these people is astonishing. And I don't know if that's just something that's happening this year.
Being idiots.
Are you ready for soapbox?
Definitely diluting the market.
Let me bring out the soapbox real quick. I've said this many times. I will continue to say it. Teams should not be penalized for drafting well. I feel that if you have a player that you drafted, you should not have that player subject to a salary cap. It's not your fault that in the 4th round of the draft, you found a quarterback like Dak Prescott. It's not your fault that you had a bad season and you ended up hitting big with Ezekiel Elliott at 4. It's not your fault that... Who's another team that has to let players go because they're in cap hell? The Saints. It's not their fault Well, I mean, the relationship with Michael Thomas is a little soured, but eventually he's going to leave because they're not going to pay him what he thinks he's worth. So it's not the Saints' fault that they drafted well and that they have to spend the money on these players. They were stupid giving Taysom Hill all that money. That was real dumb. But
it's a combination of things. It's a mix between what you're saying and the fact that teams shouldn't be penalized for drafting well, but it falls on the fault of negotiations because some of these contracts just don't make any sense. Like,
I mean, they
you're really not. You're hamstringing yourself in the long run.
They don't make sense, but it's stupid that these positions keep requiring more and more money, and the NFL raises the salary cap by $700,000 a year. So what? Now you're going to pay 3 guys and then have to fill in with a team of scrubs? Like, it's so dumb that players you draft, especially after their first contract, count toward a salary cap. I mean, look, you got Christian Kirk, who is a slightly above average wide receiver, is now the third highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. No fucking chance that kid is worth the third highest payment. He's okay. No, he's not great.
And that precedent being set has to be terrifying to owners across the board because what does that mean for their best wide receiver? What are they going to want?
Yeah, everyone was talking.
Even if they're average.
Everyone was saying that Amari Cooper getting $20 million a year was a terrible deal for the Cowboys. I disagree.
That Cleveland's problem.
Well, that whole situation ended weird, but Mike Williams gets that much money. Oh, good for him. Christian Kirk gets more than that. Oh, good for him. Like, it's just such a dumb narrative that we're saying that certain players are worth that much money, but because certain players are on certain teams, well, that's just not right. But
I'm glad I started this conversation with the audacity of all of this because this needs to get out of here before this because if we rifle through all the teams, we're going to be here for hours.
Yeah, sidestepping back onto that soapbox real quick, just going to finish with this. Again, players you draft should not count against a salary cap. Period. That's it. Especially when you got a guy like Aaron Rodgers who's taking up literally a quarter of the salary cap with his new deal. Literally 25%.
Yeah, I think that there should be some kind of stipulation where it's not exactly hitting the cap as much as it does. I think that it should at a certain point be hitting the cap, but not to the extent that it does right now.
Exactly. Especially when you've got young guys who are flourishing. Randy Gregory shouldn't have been a cap casualty. Micah Parsons will probably end up being a cap casualty. Ezekiel Elliott, and I'm just speaking about the Cowboys players because that's what I know the best.
That's what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other teams go through this as well. Like, it's just, we lost Cheeto, we lost Byron Jones, we lost Randy Gregory because of the salary cap situation. And it's just, I think it's dumb. And now let's move on, just finish the Cardinals. Max Williams, Michael Dogba, Dennis Gardeck, and Jeff Gladney all agreed to deals. 1 year for Williams, 1 year for Dogba, 3 years for Gardeck, 2 years for Gladney. Are you guys ready to move on to the Atlanta Falcons?
Yep.
All right. Atlanta Falcons have won. Younghoe Koo, 5 years, $24.5 million. A good kicker.
I have no problem with that. One of the most consistent kickers, very good from deep. I mean, kicker is something that often gets underlooked, but we have seen so many teams go through so many kickers during a season because they can't hit simple shots. I mean, it's something that not necessarily that you need to be paying them a lot, but you need to pay for consistency is my argument.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's earned that. I think it's a fine move. I don't think it's breaking the bank. And when you can just reliably throw your kicker in any kickable situation, and you've got like a 99% chance with Younghoe hitting it, then
he was at least the third best.
And I think that he should have gotten a couple million more just because that's probably the best name in football right now.
Yeah. Well, he's easily at least the third best kicker. Just off the top of my head, Justin Tucker, Evan McPherson, and Younghoe Koo are the 3 best kickers that I was able to watch this season.
You can pronounce it that